Namaste. Well, I'm really happy with the response to our recent video on astrology, and I hope to continue providing useful, valuable content on astrology. But before we go into that, I want to make a point about the context of Vedic astrology. And to do that, I want to use a metaphor. It's as if one is traveling in the mountains and one's climbing and climbing and climbing. You finally come to the top of this mountain, and what do you see? A much bigger mountain beyond it. Well, the same is true of Jotish. Jotish is one of the 6 Vedāṅgas, along with the study of Sanskrit and logic and so on. A Vedāṅga means a limb of the Vedas. In other words, the Vedas have 4 arms and 2 legs, and one of the legs is Jotish. Jotish literally means God as light. That light is how God manages and controls the universe. Another way to look at it is that the universe, God as a whole, is nothing but light. So Jotish is the mountain. And when we climb this mountain and we get to the top, we master the science of Jotish. What do we find? A bigger mountain behind it. And that is Vedic self-realization. So self-realization, the Enlightenment described in the Upanishads and Brahma Sutra, and expanded and explained by Shankaracharya, is the context for Jotish. As we are fond of saying on this channel, context determines meaning. For example, say you have a word like up. If you look it up, you will find in the dictionary there are something like 23 different definitions for the word up. Which definition applies? Well, that's determined by the context. I can say, fill the glass up. Or I can say, let's go up the hill. In both cases, the meaning is clear only because of the context. Without it, it's impossible to describe or discern the meaning. Similarly, Jotish gives us a map, basically, of our karma that we bring into this world at the time of birth. Of course, that karma can be changed, extended, reduced, elaborated, simplified, boiled down to basically nothing even, if we put it in the proper context. And that context is the degree of self-realization that we are aiming for in this life. So I look at it as my first duty as an astrologer to put the lives of myself and my clients in this context. In other words, enlightenment or self-realization is like a measuring stick. It's like the standard to which we compare all of our karmic situations and how we determine the correct response. In other words, according to Jotish, the correct response to any given situation is that which brings us closer to self-realization, enlightenment, moksha, nibbana, nirvana, whatever you want to call it. Ultimate self-realization. And suboptimal response would be anything that takes us away from that. Actions that lead to self-realization are defined in Bhagavad Gita as actions in the mode of goodness, according to the scriptures. So if we use the scriptures as a guide to deal with every situation of life, that will bring us closer to self-realization and ultimate release. And that is the solution to all problems. So, you write me and say, well, what does this mean? What does that mean? What does my chart mean? And I respond in terms of the Vedic context of self-realization, sadhana, meditation, worship, devotion, seva, which means holy service. That is what dissolves the karma, the causes and effects that bring us into this world of suffering and duality. And when those are fully dissolved, then the blessing of moksha comes as a gift from God. And that is the ultimate aim of both the Vedas and their subsidiary sciences, including Jotish. So next in this series is going to be a 3-part series on health and longevity as revealed by Jotish. This is a 3-part series going into some very deep teachings in Brihad Parashara Ora Shastra, the fundamental Vedic work on Jotish, or astrology. And that's going to be coming up next. In fact, the first episode's going to drop tomorrow. So keep an eye out. We'll see you then. Om Tat Sat. Om Shakti Om. Om Namah Shivaya.